And then we had the triple threat match in the main event for the NXT North American Championship. Roderick Strong defending against both Keith Lee. Was it Keith Lee whoop whoop? Is that what the fans say? Keith Lee whoop whoop? Is that what they do? Is that the chant? Anyway, Keith Lee and Dominik Dijakovic. I thought this was just an outstanding match. The match of the night, the match of the week. I loved it when they took out Roddy. It was just the two big guys in there, and the fans lost their minds. Dijakovic hit a Fosbury flop to the floor, hit Roderick Strong even though he was aiming for Keith Lee. Lee then hits a Tope Con Hero over the top rope, takes out Dijakovic. There was an avalanche sit-out powerbomb by Lee, so he powerbombs this guy from the top rope. And as soon as they land, there's Roderick Strong like a bat out of hell, out of nowhere, boot to Lee's face, and he pins Keith Lee to retain his championship. A wild finish to a crazy match. All the members of the Undisputed Era then ganged up on Keith Lee until Tommaso Ciampa walked out, Johnny Gargano walked out, and then out came Finn Balor. And as he was taking off his jacket, Gargano was standing right, just kind of to the side, but right behind Finn Balor. Balor is looking straight ahead, and he connects with a picture-perfect Pele kick right to the top of Gargano's head. People are shocked. Undisputed Era immediately gangs up on Tommaso Ciampa. Mauro Ranallo is losing his mind on commentary. Outside the ring, Gargano, he's leaned up against the guardrail. Balor sprints towards him. He connects with a stiff-looking shotgun dropkick. Knocks Gargano backwards over the barricade. The barricade falls over. They've got a bunch of planted wrestlers sitting there who acted like a bomb went off. They all went down. Balor then drags Gargano over to the ramp. He hits the Bloody Sunday, drops him right down on top of his head, spikes him on the steel ramp. Finn Balor with a shocking heel turn. And really, when was the last time we saw one of those? I guess maybe Sasha? Maybe you say Sasha Banks came back. She turned heel. Yeah, you know what? I'll throw that in there. That just happened like a month and a half ago. But I just feel like we before the Sasha one and the Balor one here, it's been a while since we've had a real good, heel turn where somebody turned heel and went nuts on somebody. I think back to maybe Becky at SummerSlam last year, although the crowd didn't take it as a heel turn. Even here, when he spiked Gargano on the ramp, people were chanting, I think they were chanting, yes. And I thought to myself, man, I do miss those days where we got a heel turn and the people actually booed the person turning heel. Now everybody's got to be smart. They've got to chant, oh, wow, yes, yes, yes. Because they're chanting for good television. They're not invested in these characters. They look at it as a television show. Oh, that's great TV. This is such good shit. And they'll chant yes. They're not really invested in it so much where the babyface being beaten up, they take great offense to it. That used to be the case. We don't really get too much of that anymore. But I thought that this was great. I thought that he even busted out the Bullet Club hand, the gun signals on that WWE Backstage show that aired after SmackDown Friday night. They got an interview in studio with Finn Balor, and he teased that he's been in touch with his old friends in the OC. He said, let's just say the Prince is back. And in 1 week, Finn Balor became more interesting than he has been in a year. And it sets up matches now potentially in NXT against Johnny Gargano. Finn Balor against Johnny Gargano? Sign me up. Finn Balor against Tommaso Ciampa? Potentially maybe even a War Games match next month at TakeOver if they do War Games with the men. And not the women, or maybe they could do 2 War Games matches, I guess. One with the men, one with the women. They've got the bodies, they've got the people to do both if they want to. And I could envision a men's War Games match with the Undisputed Era, teaming up with Balor against DIY, Keith Lee, Dijakovic, and Velveteen Dream. If Dream's back is good enough to go. I'm not sure Velveteen Dream's going to be back so soon. He may not be ready to go by War Games, but that would be the obvious setup to a 5-on-5 War Games match next month if they wanted to go down that road. Question now is why? Why, Finn, why? Why would he turn heel? What will his reasoning be for the heel turn? I would note that it was Johnny Gargano that he went after. He didn't give the Pele kick to Tommaso Ciampa. He kicked Gargano in the head. And Gargano has kind of become Mr. NXT. He's the face of NXT. He is what a Sami Zayn used to be, or you could say even a Finn Balor used to be. Balor spent quite a few years in NXT, and now Johnny Gargano is the face of that brand, and maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe it's the battle of these two guys who in one case used to represent the brand, and now Johnny Gargano represents the brand, and maybe he has some kind of beef with him for some reason. He's got to explain that on television. But that's the question. What is going to be the justification for the heel turn? I'm very curious to see how, what their explanation is and how they pursue that. But I loved it. And I said earlier, I'm bummed that it got spoiled for me in advance because I was watching AEW. And then reviewing AEW, I didn't get to NXT until Friday. And it's too bad because that would have been a cool thing to see without knowing that it was coming. I would suspect that most people who saw it was so sudden that it probably took them by surprise. And how often does that happen these days where you have a heel turn that truly shocks you? And this was one of those rare cases. I thought it was well done.